Maybe MJ was right. Why would the city need me when it has you?
We may seem weary and ragged, but we know secret routes of England's coasts.
What you got there?
Bagel sandwiches.
GamerGate 2.0 has been dominating the internet over the past month, and this new ideological flare-up all centers around a Montreal-based diversity, equity, and inclusion gaming firm named Sweet Baby Inc. Like every artistic, cultural industry, you simply are not allowed to be left alone to enjoy the medium. You must be inundated with divisive political messaging. You must be reminded of the new hierarchy that social activists and large corporations adhere to. That hierarchy, by the way, places straight white males at the very bottom. However, when the new untouchable class begins noticing this pattern and begin noticing that despite being loyal customers, they are now the enemy and target in the video games they play in, that's when these social activists begin to show their true colors. When you notice, for example, that large gaming studios have decided to erase white males from their games, or add pronouns to every single playable character, or for example, put Black Lives Matter messaging in the latest Spider-Man for goodness sake, and dare to question what's going on, or even worse, dare to push back against what's going on, that's when this activist class, the new Maoists, initiate their struggle session against you. And now, it seems as though these activists are taking it to the next level. According to the BBC's gaming presenter, it's time for a, quote, final purge against all of those who dare to disagree with diversity, equity, and inclusion in video games. I'm sure all of this will end well. Before we get into the show, drop a like in the video, help us out by subscribing to the True North YouTube channel, stick around for the ratio of the week, and the common question for the episode is this: why is it normal to discriminate against white males? Let me know your answer in the comments below, and let's get into it.
Let's do this.
Let's be honest. Most new movies, music, and video games are awful. Diversity above all else seems to be the priority. Not talent, not writing, not character depth. The most important thing seems to be making sure that there aren't too many white males on the screen at once. Now, nowhere is this more acutely felt than in video games. Large gaming studios like Ubisoft and Electronic Arts have been ramming through divisive political messaging in their games, race-swapping characters to make sure there are fewer white characters in the game, and of course, lots of pronouns. Now, this story has been going on for over a month now, but I want to go back to where it all began, with Sweet Baby Inc., and with someone who dared to commit the crime of noticing, something you're really not allowed to do in this day and age. Now, a social media user set up a Steam page to document all of the games that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in making. Now, you might be asking, why would they bother doing that? Well, according to Sweet Baby Inc.'s website, the company's objective, and one of the things they offer to larger game studios, is cultural consultation, sensitivity and inclusivity reading, risk and opportunities assessment, and more. Furthermore, the people who work at Sweet Baby Inc. and who previously worked at Sweet Baby Inc. don't seem to like white people very much. According to this article in The Shortcut, Sweet Baby Inc. has been accused of making games worse in a bid to help companies meet their ESG and DEI targets. It has also come under fire for allegedly forcing its employees' political ideologies into the games it has worked on. Sweet Baby Inc.'s CEO, Kim Belair, in a 2019 Game Developers Conference, basically told the crowd to threaten marketing departments with the consequences for not adopting racial politics into your video games.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Another ex-Sweet Baby Inc. employee said at a game developers conference that she just wouldn't hire white people.
We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. Sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something made it okay, but it was really a microaggression.
Now, the only thing that this person on Steam did was create a list of the games this company is involved in making. The person didn't say to boycott the games, didn't say to harass the company, but just simply notified people about what games this company was involved in making. Some of these games are some of the biggest games in the industry. One of the employees of this Montreal-based diversity, equity, and inclusion firm went on a campaign to get this Steam page deleted. Report the F out of this group, and report the creator since he loves his account so much. Now, that Sweet Baby Inc. employee for this harassment was banned from Twitter for 6 days for breaching the company's policies. Now, this is not an isolated incident. Sweet Baby Inc. is just one company that have been doing this in video games. It's the large video game studios, the ones that make the games, that have fully bought into this idea. I mean, just look at some of these examples. It's absurd. We begin with God of War Ragnarok, where they race-swapped a Norse mythological figure to be a black woman.
I'm Angrboda. You must have a lot of questions?
As we've already mentioned, with Spider-Man 2, we have this rather subtle BLM messaging in the game. In another Sweet Baby Inc. video game, Kill the Justice League, again, we have some more subtle political messaging.
Slept with a guy once who had this little yappy dog. Way less annoying than you.
How about this in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, again, another Sweet Baby Inc. video game, some black Vikings. They apparently know the secret routes to England.
We may seem weary and ragged, but we know secret routes of England's coasts.
In the Gotham Knights Batman game, apparently all the NPCs are gay.
There's this guy. We've been flirting, and he asked me out, and I maybe said yes.
And how about this in The Last of Us 2? This is my favorite example, some bigot sandwiches. I think I had a few of those before recording this show.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
They want to force their ideology into video games, so you can't just enjoy the medium. You can't just enjoy the video games because you like playing the video games. You have to be subjected to the political ideology that they want you to see. That ideology is clearly anti-white male. There's no point in pretending that it isn't. And no one is even trying to hide that. For example, take a look at this post from the Xbox head of marketing. Raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. No hate to white dudes. It's just another day in the gaming industry that minorities have to fight to prove they exist. This anti-white male bias, this anti-white male hate, if you want to call it that, because that's what others would call it if it was against a different group of people, is pervasive in the gaming industry. It is everywhere. And if you dare to question it and dare to notice it, that's when you become the target. But this is starting to backfire. Elon Musk, for example, isn't taking it. Sweet Baby Inc. is an evil blight on the gaming industry. All they do is make games terrible and try to cancel people. They cannot go broke soon enough. It should not be acceptable for any company in the gaming industry to be racist and sexist against white guys. Even UFC star Sean Strickland got in on this. Sean, why aren't you in the UFC game? Years later, being a top contender, wow, your stats are so low. Well, you guys, the video game industry is a leftist cesspool. I am the definition of what these people hate. But I take it as a compliment. Thanks. Perfect. The only way you can actually respond to this. And of course, for the Maoists who happen to work at the BBC, none of that has been sitting too well for them. According to BBC's gaming correspondent, gaming presenter, well, there needs to be a final purge on all of those who disagree with them. A final purge. I wonder what she means by that. Can we agree that for round 2 of this, it can be the final purge of these kinds of gamers? It's 2024. I've been arguing about this for decades. Can we have a last full detox of these dudes so we can get back to the positive gaming community we have been creating? Why don't you just let people enjoy the games they want to play? None of this is actually about diversity. Most sane and normal people are actually okay with diversity. They don't have a problem with diversity in and of itself. But this is not about diversity. These people who work in the video game industry, who are video game journalists and reporters, if there even is such a thing, hate white people. They say so explicitly. They want to have a final purge of those that disagree with them. They want to not hire white people at video game studios. So none of this is really about diversity. This is about aggressive political conformity. However, we've seen where this all ends up going. These people always end up losing. Because of course, you can only push people too far. The first GamerGate was largely a failure on the side of the dissidents. The activists ended up winning. They still infect video games with this ideology. They still are making video games awful to play. And they're still attacking people who dare to question them. But now things seem different. People are beginning to push back. And eventually, these social activists, the Maoists, will lose. All right, ratio of the week time. The winner this week is the Globe and Mail for publishing this opinion piece by Justin Ling, someone who we have talked about on this program quite a few times before. This one is a special opinion piece that didn't seem to sit too well with Canadians on social media. The title, Canada Must Empty Its Cupboards for Ukraine. If you ask me, Canada should be emptying its cupboards for its own military. Apparently to the Globe and Mail and Justin Ling, $13 billion in aid is not enough. We need to be sending more military aid. Obviously things that we do not have. No mention in this article about the hundreds of thousands of deaths on both sides of this conflict. No mention about the fact that an entire generation of Ukrainian men are dead now. And no mention, of course, as to how Canada could play a peace role in ending this war, to end the suffering and to end the death. Just more money, more aid, more things that we do not have. 111 replies to only 38 likes at the time of this recording. I think we already did. Defense contractors really appreciated it, one person writes. Cupboards are empty, another person writes. Probably not the opinion that the Globe and Mail were expecting to receive when they wrote this opinion article. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for us this week on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Harrison Faulkner, and this is Ratio.